going down rabbit holes all morning, looking for screenshots that had any kind of insider information on the case before the PCA came out, or anything, that came out in the early days after the murders. And I was started on that down that rabbit hole because I revisited the 4chan posts, because it occurred to me that if whoever wrote that post wasn't the suspect, right? Naming these two frat brothers, first name, last name, associating them pretty much forever with this quadruple murder, you have to really dislike somebody to do that. People say, "Oh, I think it was just somebody trolling." To me, that feels like that's way more than trolling. So, in the episode, I talk about who might have hated these two guys enough to want to implicate them in these murders, and why I still think that it was the suspect who wrote that post, because some information jumped out at me that was included in that post that really possibly only somebody with an understanding of criminology or criminal justice, or maybe law potentially, would have known, or would have known to include in the post. So you can either listen to it on my Substack, or I now have memberships and you can join, and one of the tiers you can listen. You'll get the podcast episodes as well as some exclusive videos. I'll put the link in the description so that you can join and listen. But I'm going to give you a little bit of a teaser of the episode here. Screenshotting different posts on social media. And this was one that was posted on Reddit, and it's dated December 18th, 2022. And it says, "While at my wife's work Christmas party last week, my wife was talking to a coworker's wife who was roughly the same age as these girls, and from Moscow. We are from and live in Spokane, but lots of her coworkers are from the Moscow area. Anyway, this coworker's wife brings up that she knows the victims and survivors, and that the rumor circulating the friend group is that one of the girls went upstairs that night and made eye contact with a stranger on the second floor. Dude was just standing there motionless, staring back at her, creeped her out so much that she just turned and went back to her room and locked the door. Not sure why she would keep this from police, or if she did or didn't, why they would keep this in, or if she didn't, why they would keep this info from the public, as they would have a description. Unfortunately, my wife relayed this to me on the ride home. I would have been able to pry for more info." Now, here we go again with somebody else saying, "This is what I heard, that she saw them, that she saw the suspect." And as I've said in previous episodes, based on how it's written in the PCA, I don't think Dylan just came out of her door. I think they crossed paths. I think they saw each other. And I think he just, got the hell out of there. But this really, December 18th, before the PCA, before we knew any of it. So it sounds like there's a lot of truth to this belief that Dylan saw him, and not just saw him like a glimpse, but really saw him. Now, here's something else I found from more research. It's something I found on Reddit. It's a screenshot. It looks like it's from a YouTube live. And the commenter says, "Dylan told my daughter she saw the killer. He was tall and had a face mask on. Then she ran downstairs." Now, ran downstairs, all we knew was that they woke up downstairs. Not that they, we didn't, at this time, because it was from a year ago. So if this is true, this could just be someone trying to troll, or just someone looking for attention. But with Reddit, there's never any dates, which stinks, because they don't do like a year and 3 months ago, or it's just a year ago. So if this is from before the PCA, this is another screenshot that hints at someone hearing that Dylan saw the killer. And here's yet another one. And this is before the PCA came out. And it said that this message was going around the sorority. Apparently, a guy in a mask walked into the house. I'm sure the door was unlocked. The two girls that survived heard rummaging and they locked their doors. They're kind of a party house, so they figured it was just some random kids and they were in bed, so they just locked their doors. They called two other Pi Phis to come over in the morning to check things out because they hadn't heard from the other roommates, and they opened Xana's door to see her stabbed to death with her boyfriend. They called 911 and found the other two girls. And here's another from a year ago. I've known one of the survivors since she was little. No way in hell in any universe could she be involved with something like this. Apparently, the other girl heard something and came to her room. They locked the door and they went to sleep together. Her parents drove there right after they heard. I know she's well cared for and supported. She has a strong community and wonderful family surrounding her. Young women living in a really social house, you might not feel safe going and checking things out, but you also don't think something like this could possibly be happening in your house. You'd hope you're being paranoid, so you snuggle up with the girl in the room next door and go to sleep. I'd probably do the same thing. And then she says, or they say, I don't know anything more than that little bit. Her friend heard something and came to her room because she was scared, so they locked the door and stayed in bed. They probably sat and talked and made each other feel safe enough to sleep. And if that happened at what, 3 or 4 in the morning, then it's even later by the time you calm down enough to sleep. It would be easy to sleep until 12 the next day. It was enough noise to have her seek comfort from her roommate, but it wasn't enough for her to call the cops. I could 100% see myself getting scared by something I heard, then talking myself down, thinking it would be dramatic to call the cops, telling myself I'm just being paranoid. Again, I don't think two 21-year-old Greek row girls think that their friends are going to be killed upstairs. If you have some general anxiety or smoke a little weed and get paranoid now and again, it's easy to doubt yourself in a situation like that. And here's another, and I can tell from the comments that this was released before the PCA came out, because one comment says, well, according to the post, we'll know by Friday if this is BS or not. I'll wait. The PCA was released on a Friday. And here's what the post says. I have it on good authority. Cousin is a cop in a nearby town, but called in to help in Moscow once school started back up. Apparently, the investigation is looking directly at the Sigma Chi frat party Ethan and Xana attended from 8 to 9 that night. He did not have any update on their timeline after they left after 9:45 or 9 to 10:45, but did say it looks like the investigation is honing in on 2 suspects from the party that night, and an update should publicly name them by the end of the week. Sigma has made their socials private and removed all info from Facebook going back a few years. They believe Ethan and Xana were the main targets, stemming from an argument that night. Downstairs survivors could hear 2 males rummaging through the room above them, figured it was an after party, locked the doors, and went to bed. When they discovered them in the morning, about 30 minutes before the 911 call, they called their friends at Sigma to come over, who in turn called the police. It's right across the street, and for whatever reason, they believe it was people from Sigma upstairs around 2:15 that night. Back door was left open, one dead in bed, the other blocking their room's door with their body. Police just updated their FB to reiterate they are not looking into activities of that night, only the murders, which to me suggests something went on. Fight, drugs, etc., and spilled into anger. Also didn't want to release profile they created as it would cause undue fear in the community, i.e. Greek life. More coming shortly. Okay, remember, before the PCA, and before we knew or heard anything about a body blocking the door. Now, that could have just been somebody, speculating.